Let's talk about this Friday's disappearance, being that we're on to 2 hours almost. The disappearance of Robert Isaac Hurt. We will be referring to him as Robbie during the episode. Interviewed his mother, Becky, on Friday evening once I got up to Brooksville, Pennsylvania. He disappeared. He disappeared. He lived in the Ringgold, Virginia area, but that's not where he disappeared from. He disappeared. His truck was found on Goodyear Boulevard near Danville, Virginia, just at that border between Virginia and North Carolina. And he disappeared on December 9th, 2018. So this is a disappearance that's not even 2 years old. The episode is being called Altered States. Speaking of movies, although I think that came out in like 1980. I think it was, who was that guy in it? But the reason it's called Altered States is because Robert was an addict. And what his wife said is shortly before he disappeared, when he would get high, he would become a different person. He wouldn't know who he was. He would think that instead of when he was in his own house, when he would get high, he would actually think that he was in somebody else's house and that he was the guest there. Totally did not register that he was Robbie Hurt. He was somebody else. And so that's the reason I'm calling this episode Altered States, because it very well could be, although we know that people who suffer from these, what we call fugues of amnesia, they are very, very rare. This is the first disappearance that we've covered where somebody's told me, yeah, when this person would get high, he would think that he was somebody else. And so the general facts of this is that Robbie was married, had 2 children with his wife. He had a child from a prior relationship, but that child did not live with them. And his wife thought that he had kicked the habit, and she caught him using again, so she had to kick him out. So he left their house, and the story goes that he went to a guy he knows. His name was Bob, who lived over the border in North Carolina. The story Bob tells is that Robbie showed up there, got high, overdosed, and Bob brought him back to life with Narcan that he just happened to have there. Once Robbie regained his senses again, he stormed out of Bob's place, jumped in his truck, and took off. A snowstorm was about to happen at the time, so nobody really knew. Bob didn't know where he went. There weren't any searches because of the snow, but once the snowstorm was over in a couple days, Bob discovered Robbie's truck a mile down the road, and that's where the disappearance started. And so I'm open to the idea, if Robbie was high and he was thinking he was somebody else, could it be that he really did walk off and it's only been not even 2 years? Could he be out there, maybe homeless or something, thinking that he is someone else? Once again, because this is what his wife said had occurred shortly before he went missing. Now, as you would imagine, there are some facts that could make us believe that maybe Bob, this buddy, isn't telling the entire truth. And of course, that information will be presented to you during my interview with Robbie's mother, Becky. And she did a great interview. Not one of Unfound's longer episodes. I think this episode's only like an hour and 40 minutes long or something like that. But we get into the details of it. Becky did a great job. She gets right to the point regarding everything regarding her son's disappearance. And so it was a pleasure talking to her. Michelle says, yes, because no one knows what to do regarding writing a book about what people should do regarding disappearances. And you were in panic mode. We had no idea there are search party companies and you could call them in. Michelle, in the beginning I meant with Brandy's case. We get it, Michelle. We called as soon as we knew. Suzanne says, wondering if Robbie has split personalities. That was not mentioned in talking to his mother. All that was clear is that when he would get high, at least in those like the week before he disappeared, this had started to happen. So could he have been high, blew out of Bob's? Instead of him believing himself to be Robbie Hurt, did he think his name was John Smith? Gets a mile down the road. Who knows what's going on in his head? Drives the truck into a ditch where it was found and runs off. So that is the disappearance that we are covering this Friday. Once again, the disappearance of Robbie Hurt. His truck was found on Goodyear Boulevard, very close to the Virginia/North Carolina border. Disappeared on December 9th, 2018. The episode's title is Altered States. So that brings us to the end tonight. Talked about tournament this past weekend. One round tournament coming up Saturday. Talked about Eric Franks and his car being discovered. Talked about Clashendra Hall, and in my opinion, the number one suspect in her disappearance was murdered in July. Talked about the polls for both Suzanne Lau and Alexis Badger. Talked about the Jody Husentrud podcast, Fort Hood YouTube videos, Letitia Stock. Talked about Dancing with the Stars and Carol Baskin. The Zodiac Killer took a bunch of questions. And then talked about the disappearance of Robbie Hurt, which will be Friday's episode. And that will come up the usual time of 2 p.m. Eastern. Nothing early this week. So once again, if you'd like to become a Patreon member, take part in the think tank and everything else, please go to patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. And I also want to thank Carol for contributing through PayPal within the past week as well. Thank you, Carol, if you are out there. That's all I got. Had a really great time with all of you tonight. Thank you for all the questions, comments, everything. Thank you for watching. And look for some more videos tomorrow and then the episode on Friday. Good night, everyone.